both physically and ideologically. This is a lot bigger than I ever thought it was. Find it very strange that Judas, who's the antagonist of this painting, is the one represented as a dark-skinned person. Stereotyping has been around for a really long time, and my mission has been to increase the value of Black food across the world. I am ready to get this done.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. Thank you for pushing play on my podcast. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on social media channels. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. So you'll know when new podcast episodes drop. So I want to welcome the latest winner of Top Chef Season 22, Tristen Epps. I'm so happy to have him on. He had a tremendous season and a powerful mission to uncolonize traditional dishes and bring Afro-Caribbean cuisine to the forefront. He redefined what it meant to cook with heart, history, and soul, from competing amid personal tragedy to winning the biggest prize pack in Top Chef history. His journey is as flavorful as the food he creates. Welcome to the pod, Chef Tristen Epps. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. What's
Yes.
going on?
Oh man, not a whole lot. Just glad to have you here and for the time that you're allotting to me. I want to go over some stats real quick, just to show how prolific you were this season. So, Top Chef season 22, you had 6 elimination wins, the most in the group. You had the most overall wins with 8. And you had the most wins with immunity with 2, and your team won Restaurant Wars. So, kind of looking back at your journey, you're in the upper echelon of people that have been that dominant in a season. Did you kind of have a feeling of that dominance going into it, or about halfway through, and you're like, "Yeah, I think I got this thing."
At no point did I ever think I had this thing. Um, I feel like I learned every episode uh, what to do and what not to do, and I am a person who likes to just kind of adapt. I've done it all my life, and uh, until you kind of said all those stats, I kind of knew some of them, but I don't know. Like when you're there, you're not thinking about it like that. You're thinking like like fight or flight. So. Yeah, I mean, that does sound pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So hat tip to topchefstats.com for those. You should go print those out and frame it and hang it on the wall, because it's an impressive run. It's an impressive run. So I want to jump back a little bit in time and talk a little bit about your background, your history growing up. Um, you talked a lot about traveling as a kid, being in kind of an army kid, and going to a lot of places and getting a lot of influence from that. Was there a single dish in your travels that kind of set you off on your hero's journey as a chef? Was there one thing you're like, how did this get made? And I want to do this.
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs. Wow.
Scrambled eggs. Yeah, well, I was home a lot uh by myself in the 90s. It's guys, right? Um, and my mom was like, "Listen, man, I gotta go to work, uh, or I'm gonna be late. Like, figure it out. Like, I'm not gonna keep buying like Hostess's, Little Debbie's, and Hot Pockets and stuff. Like, this isn't a thing. I'm gonna teach you how to make like scrambled eggs." And it was cool because like right, I knew what an egg was. Egg was this round thing in a shell, cool. Then you break it open, and then it's like this like viscous orby thingy. And then just like with the addition of heat and like movement, it turned into something delicious. And it was this cool, weird alchemy to me, and I loved it. And then, we would have steak another day, and then she's like, "Yo, we're gonna use leftover steak." And I was like, "What we're gonna use the leftover steak for?" And she's like, "We're gonna make steak and eggs." And I was like, and then you could add scallions, and then you could add cheese, and like this sort of like weird control that I had to like make it infinitely more delicious, like kind of just like set me off. I was like, man, with this sort of power, I can like rule the world.
A simple egg, just blowing minds
Simple
everywhere.
egg. Yes.
And you also talked about mentorship as being a critical role in your development. So, how did your time at Greenbrier, working under Richard Rosendale and working with Marcus Samuelson, how did that shift your point of view in the kitchen as you were coming up the ranks?
Yeah, honestly, two different ways, right? Like the Rosendale thing was like detail, structure, They had a saying there. It's called "push yourself." I mean, it was literally the answer for everything. Like, chef, I'm out of paper in my receipt thing. Push yourself. Like, it just like it didn't matter. Like, I hit my elbow on the frick. Push yourself. Like, it was probably unhealthy and toxic, but like it kind of gave you this like no excuses, push past limits. And then with Marcus, it was a cultural thing, right? Like it was like be yourself instead of push yourself. And it was cool, right? Like it changed my perspective of what a chef was. And that sort of mentorship was amazing, right? Now it was like no more white coat and white jacket and everything like that. It was, wear Jordans and wear a backwards hat and let's listen to reggae and soca and rap music, but same standards though, right? Like same food, but dig deeper into who you are rather than what someone else taught you.
Yeah, it is amazing how different mentors can shape the way you cook. And I love when you were on the show and you're like, I want to do this for younger chefs coming up in the ranks now. I want to be that mentor and give back. So that was a really inspirational story. Now, you also really focused heavily on Afro-Caribbean cuisine and bringing that to the forefront during your time on Top Chef, and you described your cooking as kind of a diaspora. So, how do you balance honoring those traditional Afro-Caribbean staples with innovation and trying to bring cooking to that like next level? How do you balance the tradition versus the growing, gastro molecular biology that is cooking?
So I think two ways, right? There was always a big thing that we always used to talk about in the stew room when we would like be arguing about certain things. And I used to always just say it was culinary versus culture. And like, how can you match your culture to the culinary that they're asking us for? Um, the cool thing about like Afro-Caribbean diaspora is that because nobody really knows anything about it, it's all innovative to them, right? Like even though it's really old. And it's the same thing with like super old school French and Italian, right? Like the further you go back and name something, nobody knows about it. So to them, it's like the bell bottoms of the future, right? Like they're just like, I've never heard of it, right? So to them, it's that. But to answer your question a little bit more is, I learned all the techniques and all of what they called the standard of what cooking was. And, I looked the stuff up, I practiced it, and I used the traditional flavors of it. And then once I finally had that skill set, it was just adding the flavors, the spices. And honestly, it's also not accepting that one technique is the classic way to do it, right? Like there's older techniques, just some techniques had more PR.
Yeah, I want to kind of stay there for just a second. You talked about the stew room and having some, shall we say, robust dialogue in
Yeah.
there. And you had a comment when you were talking to Massimo about cooking with identity, and you said um, Massimo's way of cooking is what I'm cooking against. Dive a little bit deeper into that. What does that mean? And what does that mean to you? And what did you mean in the context of that quote?
I never meant any sort of like disrespect toward it. I always just said that there was always just this thought process of like there's a standard of fine dining and then there's everything else. And Massimo was, I guess, unfortunately the person who represented that at the time. And I saw the podcast of like, he's like, I cook the food of the colonizers, which is
Oh,
fine.
thanks for
I
watching.
mean, I did, of course, yeah. I mean, which is fine, but the other part of it was it's fine to do that, but thinking that it's the standard of all cooking, of all fine dining is what bothers me. Why is a Scapier the person who gets to own the the godfather of cooking? Like, why is the
Mm,
mother sauce is French?
mm.
Like, is soy sauce not older than hollandaise? Like, is obiata sauce from Africa not older than like Espanol sauce? Like, why do they get to claim the mother sauces? Every country has them, so like their own. So, I said like, yeah, I'm cooking kind of against that because that ideal bothers me a lot. Like it's unfair for them to claim everything. And by them, I don't mean Massimo.
Right, right. just the them that he kind of represented at the moment, right? Which is why I loved your pushing this to the forefront because history is told by the winners, right? And that's unfortunate. So what I loved about your time on this season is you brought a lot of food to the forefront that has always been put to the wayside, or people that didn't never heard of it. Like you were saying, you bring this up and nobody's ever heard of it. I've never used Google so much in my life in a season of Top Chef as I have between you and Bailey, talking about Italian and Afro-Caribbean cuisine. I'm like, what is that? Pause. Google. Oh, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
now that's in my head, and now it's changed the way I looked at food and changed the way um, I see things in food. So thank you for that. Uh,
absolutely.
so I want to jump
Thanks
ahead.
for Googling it.
I mean,
That's honestly where it starts. Just
I,
like you'll be surprised how many people hear something, accept it, eat it, and let it go, and they're just like, all right, cool, creme brulee time. It's like just it takes 2 seconds. Like
yeah,
and
I
hit the
mean,
second page of Google.
I want to know what it is I'm eating. What's the history behind this, and learning about the colonization of food. And that's another quote that I loved in your season about uncolonizing food. I want to stay on that for a little bit too. What does uncolonizing food mean to those that kind of listened to that and heard that are like, what? I don't understand what he means by that. So dive a little bit deeper into that.
I mean, in the end, what people call fusion is food that's been influenced by conquest and colonization, right? Filipino food is Chinese and Spanish.
Mm,
Macau is Portuguese and Chinese. Brazilian is African and South American. Trinidadian, where I kind of represent is, African, Asian, Dutch, Hindi, French, British. Uh, and so if you strip all of those down into their parts, right? What's left, right? Like what is that's left there? And I really wanted to once again hit that second page on a Google search and show food at its like base and then how it was built up with all of those influences and how everyone can kind of claim it. And honestly, a little bit of history on a plate is not the worst thing, like my Ethiopia slash Italian dish. Like to me, that was uncolonizing food is telling the truth of it, of like how it became what it was.
yeah, yeah. That was amazing when he talked about the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. I'm like, you don't learn about this stuff in history books. And again, I'm Googling this stuff. And I always thought of Top Chef as being educational and entertainment. And this season in particular has been the most educational for me. And that's thanks to you and Chef Bailey and Schwai. And this group of chefs in this season has got to be the strongest cast in recent memory. So you guys were killing it. So I don't have a whole lot of time, so I kind of want to hit some highlights of your time in Top Chef. I can't have an interview with you and not talk a little bit about what you went through at Restaurant Wars, displayed for the world to see, and very brave and courageous for you to allow that and to stay on with the encouragement of your friends and your family. I want to talk about the kitchen piece of it. How did you manage to go through that emotional state and still lead your team to a victory that day, and watching your team rally around you? How much was that? How much of that encouraged you, and how were you able to manage your emotions during that time?
So I can only talk to you about how I remember it because I never watched the episode. I
Mm,
couldn't bring myself to actually watch the episode. But I remember hearing the news, and I'm a very like matter of fact kind of person. And at the time where I heard the news, I just heard that there was a stroke. This is what's happening, and this is what might happen. And my mom was like, "You can't focus on what might happen. You can only focus on the facts that you have right now. And right now, he's with us. So if he was here, and what he last thing he said was make sure they weren't even going to tell me, like at all. Like they
wow.
just weren't going to tell me. But she made the decision to tell me, and she's like, "This is what he wants you to do." And that's the only thing I can do. And toxically us chefs have been running back in the kitchen to hide our problems for a long time.
Mm.
And that trait, along with just that confidence, it was just go in, put your head down. Nothing has happened yet. And then I didn't find out until actually at like 10 minutes before judge's table
Oh, wow.
that it actually happened. So I was slightly able to keep it together until I couldn't.
Wow. How did it feel to have the team kind of rally around you and push and help you get that win, for you and for the team, but to watch them, at least from my perspective, watching the episode, uh, Restaurant Wars usually is just a blank canvas of chaos and just a lot of butting of heads. But you guys gelled so well, especially after hearing the news in real time as you were watching that happen. Did you even notice that the team was coming together and supporting you through this?
I mean, I had like, Massimo was in the front of the house, so he was kind of unaware of what was happening.
Yeah.
Um, all of this happened while I was in the back of the house and prepping and everything. So, they like Lana and Vinny just like embraced. And when I said I didn't want to talk about it, they said no problem. When I did want to talk about it, they said no problem. And they like selflessly just said, I don't care. We're getting through it, whatever we need to do. Let's make it easier. Let's make it harder, whatever we need to do. And I mean, it was a lot of support. They really gave it to me a lot. And I didn't want to let them down because I mean, if I remember correct, in the end, I wasn't going to go home regardless. Like I
Right.
had immunity.
Right.
So they put that aside and still busted their ass to like pretend like to keep me into it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing to watch. The most impressive moment of you for me, watching you go through your Top Chef journey was the foraging challenge. First off, being outdoors, me and you have a lot in common. I'm allergic to the outdoors, dude. I walk my dog and I'm getting mosquito bit. I'm like, this is nuts. And I love your comments like, what is this white people nonsense being outside? I don't understand what's going on. But what was impressive to me the most is you had no idea what you were going into. And you were in the car and you said, and then somebody said, what are you going to make? I'm going to smoke some kind of meat over some kind of branch. And I was worried. I was like, oh no, is this the end of the Tristen run? And then at some point at 3 in the morning or whatever, you just have this
yeah.
light bulb moment. What's that like when it all clicks together? When you have that moment that literally wakes you up in a dead sleep and it all just falls into place. What's that feeling like as you're going through it?
I mean, the weird background of that is I didn't sleep very much at all on this competition, like at all. Like my like if I hit 3 to 4 hours, I was winning. And that night, I was really frustrated foraging. I hated it. It was
Get me
all I
out of here.
saw was like deer poop in places where I needed to pick stuff. There wasn't really that much to pick from. I didn't feel educated enough on it. And I had no clue. And then we went to the next store and like I still had no clue. And I don't know, maybe it was my dad, maybe I have no clue, but just out of just nowhere, I woke up to like go to the bathroom and just like I don't know, it just like came to me and I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Like, because I had no connection and I need something somewhere to pull from it for me to connect to me. And I was going everywhere. I was like, well, I lived in West Virginia and that's kind of a mountain and like I don't know, like I've seen Mount Rushmore. Like I went everywhere of like how can I like get this together? And yeah, it clicked at 3 o'clock in the morning and just like I ended up knowing I had everything and I went through my sheets and my book and I thought that was like a really magical moment because for the rest of the season, like I didn't know what I was doing until we went shopping or like we were in the car, but like that was the first time I was like, man, I am clueless. And I already had all my stuff, so I couldn't change it.
Yeah, it was so amazing to watch your brain work in that moment and to think about how much in your own Rolodex of your mind you had to pull from to
Yeah.
come up with that dish that, was tremendous. And just, it was just so cool to watch, just the light bulb moment go off and all of it come together. So I want to jump to the final. And usually the final, it's, cook the meal of your life, four course dinner, and some people really struggle with that. You know, they come into Top Chef with like a lot of baggage, and they're struggling to figure out who they are. The way you went through that menu, I was thinking to myself, this dude has been thinking about this menu for a long time. And this is an opportunity for him to showcase this particular type of menu. He just has to, you know, replace ingredients with what's available there in Milan. Am I right in thinking that, or did you come up with that on the fly?
I came up with it in Italy. Like
That's nuts.
the
That's
only
nuts.
dish, the only thing I knew I wanted to do was oxtail, but I didn't know in what concept.
Yeah. Well, good job, editors, because they made it look like, seriously, they made it look like you have been thinking about this your whole life, like your whole life led to this moment of this four-course dinner of highlighting Afro-Caribbean cuisine. Like, this is my time. I'm taking my spotlight and I'm going to run with it. And now you're telling me just like, oh yeah, I just thought about that on the fly.
I mean, I had ideas, and the behind the scene part of it was like I knew things I wanted to do, but I couldn't decide. So they put a big emphasis on me going between monkfish and cod.
Yeah.
But I had that for every course. Like
Yeah.
I had two options for my first course, two options for my second course, two options for my third course, and I prepped all of it. And so I was unsure of what direction to kind of go. Uh, but it like once again it clicked. I eliminated a lot of stuff in the car, driving to the kitchen. Still kind of prepped them, but yeah, I just knew the concept I wanted to go to. But when you like believe so far into a concept, 1,000 things come into your head of like, I want to make like I wanted it to be an 8 course. Like to tell the story and so I knew the direction. I didn't necessarily know the courses except for oxtail.
Wow. Let's talk about that oxtail dish for a minute because that was the star. That was the highlight. What one judge called it transformative. What kind of was your thinking behind that mashup of Carolina grits and Milanese and the oxtail?
I mean, we heard about the judges coming, and in the end, I knew my time and my place, right? So like I wanted to show the journey of how all of us got to that table. And something that had African flavors that moved into the Caribbean, that came through the American South and was now in Europe. And every single person at that table had that journey that day. And so, they ate something that was African with the flavors of the Caribbean from someone who came from the South, and all of us sat in Europe.
Mm,
And Milanese became that thing, that foil that I can use, right? Like the rice came from Africa, went to the American South, and then came to Europe. Curry came from a place, same. So all of it made that full circle.
wow, that's amazing. That's cool. So Richard Blaze, I got to ask this. Did you watched the final? I'm assuming. So you
I
watched
watched, yeah,
Richard.
I watched the final like maybe a couple days ago. Yeah.
So Richard Blaze, if there could be anything labeled as a quote unquote hiccup in your final meal, and I don't even call it that, but apparently the editors wanted to not make this look like a fait accompli, that this was your challenge to lose, right? So they edited Richard Blaze like really being angry about your dessert. I was like, this is the one that went off the rails. I don't know. Like when you watch that back, were you like, dude, it's
I
just
don't know. I was really confused. It wasn't necessarily the feedback I got when I was at the table.
right.
I understood that a lot of people didn't have a point of reference for it. So like they didn't know whether to like it or hate it. Like they couldn't critique it because they didn't know they'd never had it before. So it's like unjustifiable for them to say that I did it wrong.
Right.
But like which was fun for me,
Yeah.
right? But like I didn't understand. I mean, I didn't understand some of the feedback. I don't know how to make effervescent ice cream, so but I respect him a lot. I think he's one of the coolest chefs that I'd ever seen. But I'd also come back and say he made foie gras ice cream, so I don't understand why he's talking about mine.
Right.
So, but yeah, still, I didn't know that feedback until I watched that. So yeah, it was confusing, but I was okay with it. Like once again, it was about authenticity for me.
Yeah, I was just confused on why he was so angry. Like,
Yeah,
what?
me too.
You're like turned up to an 11, man. I need you down like at a 4. So you're over ice cream. But uh,
Can't be,
a-
you can't please them all.
I know, right? So a lot of Top Chef, I've interviewed a fair number of Top Chef contestants over the past few years, and every one of them say Top Chef changes you as a chef. It you go through the crucible of all these challenges, and you come in with a lot of accolades, with James Beard Award nominations, et cetera, et cetera. How has Top Chef for you? How has Top Chef changed you as a chef from when you came on episode 1 to winning the thing at the end?
It is giving me the ability to see other Black kids say, I think I can go win Top Chef.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's the only reason why I did it.
Yeah.
And not just Black kids. Like, I mean, just anyone who thinks that their cuisine is not looked at as fine dining or it doesn't deserve the platform, like that, I can see more people like looking at themselves as a possibility. And that's the part I really
Yeah. He did it. I can do it too.
exactly.
Awesome.
That's all we can strive for.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to look ahead a little bit at your career post Top Chef. I always have a saying that even if you lose Top Chef, you still win. Like just being on the
Mhm.
show and getting that exposure does a lot. And there was, I think Gail said in a TikTok that of all the reality competition shows, Top Chef has the most like rock stars in their industry, right? You think about American Idol, America's Got Talent. You can think of only a handful of people that have transcended that show, but Top Chef uh, a lot of people that haven't won Top Chef are doing amazing, amazing things. So having
Phenomenal.
what's that?
I said they're doing phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, amazingly well. So winning Top Chef just is that much more. So you had a pop up called Baboy. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
Are you looking now to make that more of a pop up with this Afro-Caribbean focus on food and having that more of a permanent thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Baboy is the culmination of my dreams, just put into a brick and mortar building that I'm really trying to just kind of get off the ground now. It is, it's the nickname of my grandfather, who came to this country and just was like a really great example for me. And yeah, I really want a space that people can see this journey that I've taken, uh, and sit down and like enjoy the story, right? Like I think my food is very narrative, like forward, and I want to tell the story and I want to tell that story so that story can be passed down, right? Like that's how things are honestly passed down is through stories and through meals and people sitting at a table. So yeah, that's the goal, and Top Chef is I'm gonna will that into making sure that that's what happens.
One thing that I felt the theme was for the finale episode was the theme of legacy. So, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Not just as a chef, but as like this cultural ambassador for Afro-Caribbean cuisine. What legacy do you want to leave behind for those that follow you?
You know, it's not just the Afro-Caribbean, it's just for the culture. The
Yeah.
legacy I want to be is the person who made people comfortable to celebrate their culture and no matter what room they're sitting in. And I mean, if you make Uzbekistani food, like there's no reason why you can't have a Michelin Uzbek restaurant. Like if you're from Myanmar, like you don't have to go study under some French chef. Like just celebrate your cuisine. Like I want to have the legacy who just here's the biggest thing. Like there was a point, I don't remember if they put it in there or not. They said, why do you want to be like what does being top chef mean to you? And I said top chef is not a singular person. Top chef is just a person who could climb a little higher so that they can just like turn around and pull you up. And that's the kind of legacy I want to have, right? Like I'm just the guy who was able to climb the fence so that I can pull you up as well so that we're also even. And then so on and so forth.
Yeah, amazing. So I want to give you, I only have a couple minutes left. So I want to give you these last couple minutes to promote any projects that you got coming up that you want people to be aware of. Where can people find you on socials to follow your adventures post Top Chef?
Yeah, I am on Instagram as Chef Tristen Epps. It's really the only thing I kind of use. TikTok, it's the same thing. Still working on being good at that. And I have a lot of like I'm doing a little world, like well not world, but national tour of my Boy pop-ups. I'm gonna be cooking with Shwai, I'm gonna be cooking with Paula, taking a little Chicago route to the Chicago crew, some LA, some Arizona, and definitely New York because I have a James Beard dinner to do. But yeah, I'll be there. Follow me on social. Epsandflows.com is my website. All my events are on there. So, keep up with me.
So that Diamond Medallion Delta status is going to get a
Diamond
workout over the
Medallion
next few
Delta. I
months,
can
right?
fly to you.
Well, Chef Tristen, again, congratulations. Thank you so much for your time being on the pod. I greatly appreciate it. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Folks, just remember to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera, at Eat Your Content on all social channels, and make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you like what we're doing here, leave a review. If you have a question about future pods, leave it there too. Chef Tristen, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.